What's up everyone, I'm Dan and thanks to Qbyte Interactive for the review code, I'll be looking at Cursed Rounds on the Nintendo Switch. Cursed Rounds is one of those indie titles that feels instantly familiar yet manages to carve out its own identity. At first glance it looks like a love letter to retro shooters of old black and white pixel visuals, crunchy sound effects straight out of the early arcade era, and gameplay that throws you into relentless chaos. But beneath that simple exterior lies a unique twist, one that makes every run feel unpredictable, punishing, and strangely addictive. The first thing that jumps out about Cursed Rounds is its stark black and white art style. It's clean, minimalist, and wonderfully atmospheric, giving the game an identity that sets it apart from the flood of neon-drenched roguelites on the market. The retro audio design reinforces the vibe with bleeps, bloops, and crunchy gunshots that suit the pixelated chaos on screen. That said, the minimalism comes with its own drawbacks. With so many enemies spawning at once, projectiles flying in every direction, and upgrades swirling around, it can sometimes be genuinely difficult to track your own character amidst the chaos. The game thrives on overwhelming you, but that visual noise can be frustrating when you feel like you've died not because of a mistake, but because you couldn't quite make out what was happening. The controls, however, are thankfully straightforward and snappy. You move with the left stick, aim with the right, and fire with ZR, dash with ZL. All of the basics of a twin stick shooter are here. For those who prefer a custom setup, the developers have thoughtfully allowed for button remapping, which is a nice accessibility touch. The dash in particular becomes essential as the screen fills with enemies and projectiles, forcing you to rely on sharp reflexes and smart positioning. Cursed Rounds waste no time in getting you into the action. After a brief tutorial, you're immediately thrown into randomized waves of enemies and boss encounters. It's a pure learn by doing experience, no lengthy cutscenes, no filler, just you, your gun, and the hordes of enemies waiting to tear you apart. What makes Cursed Rounds stand out from other roguelite shooters is its card system. After clearing areas, you'll receive upgrades that might boost your attack power or increase your movement speed, but the catch and the heart of the game is that you're also forced to pick curse cards, which add negative modifiers to your run. These curses can be brutal, slowing your movement, obscuring your vision with ink stains, or even reviving dead enemies to fight again. These fundamentally alter the way you approach each encounter, turning the game into a balancing act of risk and reward. Do you take the curse that weakens your dash in exchange for extra firepower, or do you sacrifice your attack speed to keep your mobility intact? The curses aren't the only factor in the card system. After each boss battle, you're granted blessing cards, which offset some of the pain by offering positive effects. This push and pull between blessings and curses keeps runs feeling tense and strategic, ensuring that no two attempts are exactly the same. At its core, Cursed Rounds is a bullet hell shooter, and it absolutely embraces that identity. Waves of enemies flood the screen, each with their own quirks and attack patterns. There are over 30 unique enemy types to contend with, alongside the roster of massive bosses that feel both intimidating and satisfying to take down. The bosses deserve special mention. They're big, bold, and designed to overwhelm. Each one forces you to adapt quickly, weaving between projectiles while squeezing in shots of your own. They're the kind of encounters where your pulse quickens and your palms sweat, the exact intensity that bullet hell fans crave. Still, it's worth noting that the game's difficulty curve is steep, reflexes are paramount, and mistakes are punished harshly. If you're someone who prefers roguelites with gradual progression systems and permanent unlocks, Cursed Rounds may feel punishingly unforgiving. And that leads to one of the game's biggest sticking points, the lack of lasting progression. Unlike many modern roguelites where upgrades, abilities, or characters carry over between runs, Cursed Rounds wipes the slate clean each time you die. This means that while individual runs can feel exciting and unique, there's little sense of long-term growth or achievement. For some players this will be refreshing, a pure arcade-like focus on skill and reflexes. For others it may feel like a missed opportunity, as the genre has largely evolved around rewarding persistence with incremental upgrades. Without that meta progression, Cursed Rounds risks losing replay value once you've experienced a good portion of its enemy and card variety. Saying that, however, with over 60 different curse cards, you never quite know how a run will unfold. One attempt might see you zipping around the arena with lightning speed but dealing pitiful damage, while another might saddle you with slow movement but devastating firepower. However, if you're not someone who thrives on challenge alone, the replayability may wear thin. Once you've seen the bulk of enemies and bosses, there isn't much more waiting in the wings. This is very much a game for those who enjoy high difficulty, skill-driven experiences over long-term progression systems. Cursed Rounds is a frantic, stylish and uncompromising bullet hell roguelite. Its retro monochrome visuals and sound design give it an identity all of its own, while the Curse and Blessing card system adds a clever layer of strategy on top of the twitchy twin-stick shooting. Bosses are a highlight, offering chaotic battles that test your reflexes to the limit, but the game won't be for everyone. The lack of permanent progression removes some of the long-term satisfaction that fans of roguelites may expect, and the minimalistic visuals can become overwhelming when the screen fills with enemies and projectiles. Still, for those who love tough-as-nails shooters that value skill above all else, Cursed Rounds is a sharp little gem worth checking out. Cursed Rounds is out now on the Nintendo eShop, priced at $4.49 in the UK and $4.99 in the US. Have you played this one yet, and what did you think about it? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Thanks to you all for watching, hope you enjoyed the review, and until next time.